West, Lizzie, goodbye. He was in the news again. He did an interview on the Drinking Chaps podcast, and he name dropped a lot, and he said a lot. Did you watch the interview? If you did, what are your thoughts on it?
I have not watched the interview. Honestly, I think that this is a clear mental health breakdown. So like for me as like honestly like a real fan, I hate to see stuff like this because I can obviously see that this man is mentally not in a good space. So to see my favorite artist like, and I'm sure some of the stuff he's saying he doesn't necessarily mean. Like I'm sure saying that him signing Big Sean was his biggest regret and etc. I'm pretty sure he doesn't mean those type of stuff. But I do think that maybe I want to say he suffers from like bipolar, maybe his bipolar and whatever mental issues he suffers from. I think that is kicking in. Just like it reminded me of like when Britney had like shaved her head off and like started doing crazy stuff like that. But it's really sad. So hopefully.
Yeah, I actually watched the interview. I was at work and I just had it playing, and it was actually a pretty good interview. But like you said, I think some of the stuff that he said, especially with Big Sean and him being the biggest mistake he did by signing him, what I felt in the interview that he felt is that a lot of people betrayed him publicly, and so that hurt him, and unfortunately he spoke out of malice. Because that's all he was basically saying, like, you know, there's people that I disagree with behind doors, but I never said it publicly, but these are supposed to be my guys. And, you know, he felt like they betrayed him. So I think that's why he spoke out of anger. Yeah, I think it was a really, really good interview.
So let me just say this, right? I don't want to take away if he's battling any mental issues. He could very much be battling mental, you know, issues or whatever, right? But it's funny to me that when he name dropped someone, the person that he name dropped, like for example, Big Sean, he name dropped Big Sean, right? And then Big Sean made a tweet saying like, I was just with you and you didn't say none of this to me. So are you really battling some type of mental issue if you were just laughing it up with me and now you on camera and you dissing me? Like, come on. I feel like sometimes, like, because he is Kanye West or whatever, people excuse his behavior or whatever. And right now, I'm not excusing his behavior. Like if you're having personal meetings with these guys, your guys or whatever, because these guys that he name dropping, he's talking to them, he's seeing them or whatever. If you're having these personal meetings, these meetups or whatever, you can discuss how you feel. Y'all all man at the end of the day or whatever. Why wait until you get on a radio show that is gonna get, you know, a lot of views to diss your so-called guys that you feel betray you? Because you're doing the same thing at the end of the day.
I do think
Kanye West is.
No, but I do think if I'm not mistaken, I do think Kanye West did come out and really say that he had like mental issues. He was going through like counseling or whatever. So I think he really has said that he suffers from like a clinical type of depression, and you don't know how that is for that type of person, or to be around that type of person who has that kind of, definitely if you're going through something like bipolar, where one day you're thinking something else, the next day you could be thinking something else. So for me, I wouldn't want to speak on that because I have never been around somebody that has suffered that seriously from a mental illness, because if you do have it, then you don't know how that person thinks or reacts. So
I've been around one person that had bipolar, and Lizzie, you probably remember this story, that we were told that he was bipolar, but we never experienced an episode. And one day we was just chilling on the couch watching football, and his team was losing, and that light switch just went off, and he just F that, da, 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 da. And it was just, yeah. So I don't know how it affects people individually, but I think Kanye West, based on what he shows to the public, he's able to articulate his feelings, how he expresses himself, and what hurts him and what disappoints him. So like Mitty said, you don't have to be combative or you don't have to be in an argument, but if Big Sean is your guy, maybe call him up in the same way that you were able to express your dismay on the podcast. You can just say that to them. If you don't know how that's going to affect you, if you say it out loud, maybe text it like, hey, I just seen what you said on the news. I didn't like that. You know, we're supposed to be guys. If you don't like what I said, hit me up and we can discuss it. Yeah. I just feel like Kanye West does a really good job with saying how he feels. And if those are your guys, you should be able to say that to them.
I totally agree. I'm not taking away from any mental illness he may be battling, but just you hit it on the nail. He articulate very well. He speak on how he feels very well. So these so-called guys, you can do the same thing. Like you can talk to them or whatever, but you wait until you get on a platform big enough to speak on these people. Like I can't respect that.